Jack and his dog, Echo, moved into their new home. Jack was an ex-soldier. He had seen many tough days, but now he wanted a fresh start. Echo, his loyal German shepherd, was also an ex-service dog. Echo was big, strong, and smart. He always stayed close to Jack, ready to protect him. The new house was small but cozy. It had a garden in the back. Jack hoped they could have a quiet and peaceful life here. Echo walked around, sniffing the house. Everything was new to him, but he trusted Jack. After a long day of moving in, Jack sat down on the couch. Echo lay at his feet, keeping watch. In the afternoon, someone knocked on the door. Jack stood up and opened it. A young girl with curly brown hair and bright eyes smiled at him. "Hi, I'm Amelia," she said. "I live next door." Jack smiled back. "Hello, Amelia. I'm Jack. This is Echo." Amelia's eyes widened when she saw Echo. "Wow, he's so big. Is he friendly?" "Yes, he is," Jack said. "But he's very disciplined. Move slowly, and you can pet him." Amelia carefully stepped closer and held out her hand. Echo sniffed it, then let her pat his head. "Hi, Echo," Amelia said softly. Echo wagged his tail slowly. He liked her gentle touch. "He used to work with me in the army," Jack explained. "He's a trained service dog." "That's so cool," Amelia said. "Can I play with him?" Jack nodded. "Sure. Let's go to the garden." Amelia ran to the garden, and Echo followed her. She threw a ball, and Echo chased it, bringing it back to her quickly. Amelia laughed as they played together. "You're amazing, Echo," she said, clapping her hands. Echo's ears perked up. He seemed happy to have someone new to play with. Amelia stayed for a while, tossing the ball and giggling every time Echo brought it back. Before she left, Amelia gave Echo a small cookie from her pocket. Jack noticed and smiled. "He's on a diet, but I'll let it slide this time," he said. Amelia smiled. "I'll see you both tomorrow." When Amelia left, Echo lay down near Jack again. His eyes were calm, and his tail wagged softly. The house didn't feel so strange anymore. Echo had a new friend. He felt a sense of purpose again, protecting Amelia and making sure she was always safe. Jack patted Echo's head. "Looks like you're settling in just fine, buddy." Echo wagged his tail again. Yes, he was. That evening, Jack sat on the porch, watching the sunset. Echo lay next to him, his ears twitching at small sounds. They were both tired but content. "Life here might be good for us," Jack said softly. Echo responded with a low, contented bark. It was a peaceful end to their first full day in their new home. Jack woke up early the next day. The sun was shining and the birds were singing. He made coffee and took Echo outside. Echo sniffed the air and walked around the garden, as if checking for anything unusual. "All clear, buddy?" Jack asked with a smile. Echo wagged his tail, but kept his nose to the ground. Later that morning, Jack noticed a strange smell in the living room. Echo began to bark softly and walked toward the wall near the lamp. "What is it, Echo?" Jack asked. He moved closer and saw a small spark from the electrical wire. Jack quickly turned off the power and called an electrician. "Good job, Echo. You probably saved us from a fire," Jack said, patting Echo's head. Echo's eyes sparkled with pride. The electrician arrived and fixed the problem. He told Jack that the wire could have caused a serious fire if it had not been caught in time. Jack felt grateful for Echo's sharp senses. "You're a hero, buddy," Jack said later that day. Echo wagged his tail proudly. A few days later, Echo started acting strangely near Amelia's house. He sniffed the air and whined softly. Jack watched him with curiosity. "What's wrong, Echo?" Jack asked, but Echo kept pacing and sniffing the air. Jack decided to talk to Amelia's parents about it. They didn't see anything unusual. "Maybe he's just being cautious," Jack said. But deep down, he trusted Echo's instincts. Something didn't feel right. Echo stayed alert, his eyes focused on Amelia's house. That night, Jack couldn't sleep. Echo kept pacing and whining near the window. Jack finally got up and looked outside. The street was quiet and dark. "What are you sensing, Echo?" Jack wondered aloud. He knew Echo's senses were much sharper than his own. Jack decided to pay closer attention to Echo's conduct over the next few days. A few days passed, But Echo's behavior near Amelia's house did not change. He sniffed the air and whined every time they walked by. Jack became more worried. Is something wrong in their house, Echo? Jack asked. What Jack and Amelia's family did not know was that a gas leak had started in their basement. The gas was odorless and hard to detect. Because of poor ventilation, the gas was slowly spreading through the house. Humans could not smell it, but Echo's sharp senses picked it up. Echo became more agitated. He barked and paced near Amelia's door. One day, he pulled on his leash, trying to lead Jack closer to the house. Echo, what's going on? Jack asked, puzzled. Echo's eyes were full of urgency. Jack decided to check again. When Jack spoke to Amelia's parents, they smiled politely but didn't seem concerned. Our house is fine, Amelia's dad said. Maybe Echo is just excited to play. Maybe, Jack said, but he wasn't sure. That night, Echo whined loudly outside Jack's window. Jack knew this was serious. Echo never acted like this without a reason. Jack decided to trust him fully. Okay, Echo, let's check again tomorrow, Jack said softly, patting his loyal friend. Echo calmed down but remained watchful. He would not give up until the danger was gone. The next morning, Echo stood by the door, ready to go. Jack grabbed his jacket and followed his friend to Amelia's house once more. This time, Jack decided to search the house thoroughly with Amelia's father. We need to be sure everything is safe, Jack insisted. Reluctantly, Amelia's dad agreed. That night, Amelia's family went to bed as usual. They had no idea that danger was spreading in their home. The gas leak in the basement had worsened. Without proper ventilation, the gas quietly filled the lower floors. There was no smell or sign of danger that humans could detect. Meanwhile, Echo grew more desperate. He paced restlessly in Jack's yard. He could not relax knowing something was wrong. Jack tried to calm him, but Echo refused to settle. What's bothering you, Echo? Jack asked softly. Echo let out a low whine. His eyes locked on Amelia's house. As the night deepened, Echo knew he had to act. He waited until Jack wasn't watching and leaped over the fence. Quiet but determined, he ran straight to Amelia's front door. He scratched at the door, barking softly at first, then louder. No one answered. Echo's instincts told him time was running out. He moved around the house looking for a way in. Finally, he found a small, weak window near the back. He jumped up and pushed against it. The glass cracked and shattered, setting off the house alarm. Inside, Amelia's parents woke up in shock. What was that? Her mother asked, panicking. The alarm, her father said, getting out of bed. He rushed downstairs and saw Echo standing inside the broken window, barking furiously. Jack, hearing the alarm from his house, quickly grabbed his keys and ran over. By the time he arrived, Amelia's dad had turned off the alarm. Jack, your dog just broke into our house, Amelia's father said angrily. Wait, Jack said, panting. If Echo did that, something's wrong. He never behaves like this without a reason. Echo barked again and ran toward the basement door, scratching at it. What's down there? Jack asked. The basement? Nothing important, Amelia's dad replied, confused. We need to check, Jack said firmly. He followed Echo, who continued barking at the door. Amelia's father hesitated, but finally opened the door. Echo rushed down the stairs as soon as the basement door opened. He barked loudly, his body tense and alert. Jack and Amelia's father followed quickly. The smell of gas was faint but present now that the door was open. Amelia's dad froze in shock. Gas! There's a leak, he exclaimed. Jack nodded. Echo knew. We need to get everyone out of the house now. Echo didn't wait. He dashed upstairs, barking and heading straight to Amelia's room. Amelia was asleep, unaware of the danger. Echo nudged her arm and barked loudly until she woke up. Echo, Amelia mumbled, rubbing her eyes. She sat up, confused. Echo barked again and pulled on her blanket. Amelia blinked and then remembered how serious Echo could be. What's wrong, boy? She asked, getting out of bed. Echo barked urgently and ran to the door. Amelia followed him, trusting his instincts. By the time she reached the hallway, Jack was there. Amelia, come with us. We have to leave the house right now, Jack said firmly. Why? What's happening? Amelia asked, looking worried. There's a gas leak, Jack explained quickly. It's dangerous to stay inside. Amelia nodded, her eyes wide with fear. Jack guided her outside while her parents quickly gathered a few things and followed. Outside, the cool night air hit them. Echo continued barking, moving toward the houses. He needed to warn everyone nearby. Jack watched him with admiration. He's trying to alert the people of the area, Jack said. Stay here. I'll help him. Jack and Echo moved from house to house. Echo barked loudly, waking people up. Lights turned on, and soon people were stepping outside, confused and concerned. What's going on? One man asked. There's a gas leak at Amelia's house, Jack explained. Echo sensed it and got us out in time. We're making sure everyone's safe. The neighbors thanked Jack and Echo. Some offered to call emergency services, while others checked on their own families. Amelia hugged Echo tightly. You saved us, she whispered. Echo wagged his tail gently, but remained alert, watching the street. Jack smiled at the scene. You're a true hero, Echo, he said softly. Soon, firefighters and emergency workers arrived. They confirmed the gas leak and praised Echo for his quick actions. That night, everyone knew the brave dog who had saved many lives. Jack knelt beside Echo and scratched behind his ears. You did great, buddy. We're all proud of you. Echo finally relaxed, his job done. He lay down near Jack, knowing that everyone was safe now. Jack and Echo stayed near Amelia's house as the fire truck arrived. Red and blue lights flashed, and loud sirens echoed in the quiet area. The people, now awake, gathered near their front yards, whispering to each other. The firefighters jumped out of their truck and approached Jack. One of them, a tall man with a calm voice, spoke quickly. What's the situation? He asked. Jack explained, there's a gas leak in the basement of this house. My dog Echo sensed it. We've already evacuated everyone safely. The firefighter nodded and motioned to his team. Good job getting everyone out. We'll handle the leak. Echo barked once, still tense. He watched the firefighters closely as they set up their equipment. One of them carried a gas detector and disappeared into the house with another team member. Amelia's dad approached Jack and Echo. His face was pale, but full of gratitude. Thank you, he said softly. If you and Echo hadn't acted so fast, I don't even want to think about what could have happened. Jack placed a hand on Echo's back. It's all thanks to him. He wouldn't stop warning us. Amelia ran over and hugged Echo again. You're the best dog ever, she said, smiling through her tears. Echo licked her hand gently and wagged his tail. Minutes later, the firefighters returned. The lead firefighter reported to Jack and Amelia's father. We found the source of the leak, he said. A pipe in the basement cracked. We've sealed it, and the gas levels are dropping. It's safe now, but you'll need a repair team to fix the plumbing. Amelia's parents nodded in relief. We'll take care of it first thing in the morning. Thank you so much. Thank your dog, the firefighter replied with a grin. He's a real hero. The crowd clapped, cheering for Echo. Jack knelt beside him and whispered, Hear that, buddy? They all know how special you are. Echo looked up at Jack, his eyes shining with pride. He was finally able to relax. The danger had passed. Later, after the firefighters left and the crowd began to disperse, Jack and Amelia's family sat on the front steps of their house. Amelia's mom brought out a blanket and draped it over Amelia's shoulders. Tonight was scary, she said softly, but we're safe thanks to Echo and Jack. Jack smiled, but looked serious for a moment. It's important to have working alarms and detectors. If Echo hadn't been here, things could have ended differently. Make sure you get those checked regularly. Amelia's dad nodded. We will. Lesson learned. The night slowly grew quiet again. Jack and Echo walked home, the stars shining brightly above them. You've earned a good rest, buddy, Jack said as they reached their front door. Echo wagged his tail tiredly.